Welcome back to Pop Flashback. I'm Rick Smalls.
And I'm Tina Boucher.
Today, we're going back to the 80s. You know, big hair, neon colors, and this really unique character, Max Headroom.
Yeah, he was this bizarre, artificial-looking guy. It seemed like he was everywhere for a while.
Right, but there's a twist. This story, it goes beyond, fiction into this real-life mystery. People are still scratching their heads about it.
That's right. The 1987 Signal hijacking, it was like straight out of one of Max Headroom's cyberpunk stories, but it actually happened.
So for anyone who might not know this story, let's start with the basics. Who was Max Headroom?
Okay, so imagine this TV personality, dark suit, sunglasses, and this sort of digitized, almost robotic appearance, kind of like an early version of CGI,
Well, yeah.
but with this stuttering, pitch-shifted voice.
I remember seeing it on TV and thinking, how did they even do that back then?
It was all practical effects. Matt Frewer, the actor who played Max, he wore prosthetics, makeup, and this special suit. And they used clever lighting and editing to create that illusion.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, groundbreaking for its time. It really added to Max's whole mystique. He was this strange, artificial being, but he was commenting on, like, the very medium he existed on, television.
Interesting. Even his name, Max Headroom. It almost seems ironic, considering he was supposed to be this super intelligent AI.
Right. That name actually came from a sign. The creators saw it in a parking garage. It said, Max Headroom, as a warning about Cleant's height. And they just thought it was the perfect name for a character who was supposed to be the opposite. Vast knowledge, intelligence.
Okay, so how did this character, with his, quirky looks and ironic name, go from an idea to this, pop culture icon?
Well, it all started with a British cyberpunk movie called Max Headroom, 20 Minutes into the Future, aired back in 1985. And was set in this dystopian future. Corporations controlled everything. Technology had a dark side.
Sounds like it tapped into some anxieties at the time, especially with, computers and the internet starting to become more prominent.
Absolutely. The movie, it imagined a world where information was power. And whoever controlled the media, they controlled everything else. Very cyberpunk.
And Matt Frewer played both Max Headroom and the main character, Edison Carter.
Yes. Carter was a journalist investigating this corporate corruption. And he ends up getting into an accident. And his consciousness, it's used to create the AI, Max Headroom.
I'm starting to see how the lines between fiction and reality, they could get a little blurred, especially with the later Signal hijacking incident.
It's almost like Max Headroom foreshadowed this strange potential of technology in a way.
The movie must have been a hit because just 2 days later, Max got his own show on Channel 4 in the UK.
It was a music video show, but with Max as the host. Introducing videos, making his, quirky comments. Huge success. It actually doubled the channel's viewership.
From cyberpunk dystopia to music video VJ. That's quite a leap.
He was versatile, and his popularity wasn't just limited to the UK. The show eventually aired in the US on Cinemax. Really solidified his place in pop culture.
And then came the New Coke campaign. I remember those commercials. Max saying, catch the wave.
Yeah. Even though New Coke was a major flop, Max's association with it didn't seem to hurt his popularity. He was everywhere.
It's just fascinating. This fictional AI managed to break through and become like a cultural phenomenon in such a short time.
It really does speak to his unique appeal. He challenged the norms, made us question our relationship with technology and the media.
And speaking of challenging norms, we can't forget about the American TV series. It really expanded on Max Headroom's world. Explored even deeper themes.
That show, it took the cyberpunk dystopia to another level, tackling issues like data privacy, corporate power, the ethics of artificial intelligence.
And it's amazing how relevant those themes are today, even more so than back then.
Right. It's like Max Headroom was ahead of his time, a harbinger of the digital age and all the complexities that come with it.
And then, of course, there's the Signal hijacking incident, the real-world event.
Yeah.
Brought Max Headroom's, cyberpunk nightmares to life.
It's the ultimate example of how Max's world collided with our own.
Yeah.
And it's a story that still fascinates and even terrifies people today.
Yeah, it really takes us from that world of fiction into a real-life mystery.
This isn't about a TV show or a movie anymore. This was an actual event. Happened in Chicago back in 1987. 2 television stations had their broadcast signals interrupted.
Hijacked.
Yeah, hijacked.
Imagine you're sitting at home watching your favorite show.
Right.
And all of a sudden, the screen goes haywire, the image distorts, and this creepy figure wearing a Max Headroom mask just appears.
It must have been terrifying for viewers back then, like something out of a nightmare, especially with that distorted audio.
Yeah, the first hijacking was brief. It was only about 20 seconds. Happened during a sports segment on WGN-TV's 9:00 p.m. news. The masked figure just swayed back and forth in front of this corrugated metal background.
So creepy but short-lived. What about the second hijacking?
That one was even weirder. Happened about 2 hours later on WTTW, the local PBS station, during an episode of Doctor Who. Interrupting Doctor Who. Now that's just wrong. I wonder if the Doctor ever encountered any signal hijackers in his travels.
That's a good question. This time, though, the masked figure actually spoke, but with this distorted electronic voice. They made references to Max Headroom's new Coke commercials, shouted out WGN's sportscaster, and even mentioned that old cartoon Clutch Cargo.
It's like they were trying to be funny, but in a very unsettling way. Like a prank gone wrong.
Yeah, and then towards the end of that WTTW hijacking, the figure was partially disrobed and spanked by someone off-screen while yelling about people coming to get them. The whole thing just ends abruptly, and then Doctor Who resumes like nothing happened.
It's like they were trying to create chaos, disrupt that normal flow of information and entertainment. Very cyberpunk when you think about it.
Yeah, and the fact that they could take over these signals, interrupt everyone's viewing, was a real power move, made people feel vulnerable, like anything could happen.
You know, the hijacking wasn't just a prank. It tapped into this very real fear, one that we see even today, the idea that technology, the very thing that connects us, can be turned against us in these unpredictable and terrifying ways.
Absolutely. It's a fear that's just amplified in the digital age where we're so reliant on technology for everything.
So who was behind these signal hijackings? Were they ever caught?
That's the biggest mystery of all the FCC investigated, but no one was ever definitively identified or charged. There were theories that it was a disgruntled employee of WGN or maybe a group of tech-savvy hackers, but nothing concrete ever came out.
It's amazing that even in the age of internet sleuths and, advanced technology, this mystery remains unsolved. It's like a real-life episode of Max Headroom, this puzzle that we may never fully crack.
And that just adds to the intrigue, doesn't it? The unknown can be both fascinating and terrifying, and that Max Headroom hijacking really embodies that perfectly.
Thinking about this incident today makes you wonder, what was the message? Was there a deeper meaning behind all that chaos and weirdness, or was it just a prank taken too far?
Yeah, that's something I think we all have to ponder. Was it a commentary on media control? A warning about the dark side of technology? Or just a group of people pushing the boundaries of what was possible?
It makes you really question who's in control, who's watching, and what might be lurking just beneath the surface of our seemingly ordered world.
Max Headroom, that fictional character, he was born out of this genre called cyberpunk, which was huge in the 80s. Imagined a future where technology was super advanced, but everything was kind of grimy and dystopian. Big corporations controlled everything, and people were struggling to hold on to their individuality.
It's like the hijacking pulled Max Headroom out of the TV.
Yeah, it's interesting how this fictional character, Max Headroom, and this real-world event, the signal hijacking, they kind of became like so intertwined.
Yeah, it's like the hijacking gave Max Headroom this whole new level of meaning, this kind of dark reality that mirrored that dystopian world he came from.
And more than 30 years later, people are still talking about it, analyzing that footage, trying to decode those messages.
And it just remains unsolved, right? That just adds to the mystery and the intrigue.
The signal hijacking, it makes you think about our relationship with technology, with the media.
Back in the 80s, when Max Headroom first appeared, people were just starting to, grasp the power of computers and the potential for mass communication.
Right, yeah.
And now, in the age of social media and the internet, we're more connected than ever, but also more vulnerable to manipulation and disinformation. It's like Max Headroom and the hijackers. They were warning us about something, showing us the darker side of the digital world.
Yeah.
This whole story is just a reminder that even in our hyper-connected, information-saturated world, there are still mysteries that elude us, things that we may never fully understand.
And that's okay. Sometimes the most compelling stories are the ones that, leave us with more questions than answers.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our exploration of Max Headroom and that 1987 signal hijacking. Thanks for listening. Remember to like and subscribe so you can get the next episode.
Catch you next time.